Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's talk. It's talk radio. It's talk radio the way it should sound. That's how I say it. Why? Because this kind of talk radio isn't allowed to exist on regular radio because I'm not completely in the tank for one political party over the other. That's right. Here's what we do here. We try and do a form of current events conversation, neighborly conversation. Sometimes neighbors need to be put in their place. I mean, I'm not saying this is like, no edge or anything like that. I get pissed, and I'll tell you what's what. But we don't let, how we voted infect every single thing, every opinion we have. No, this show is non-political for the most part. I mean, I don't know. What do you think I am? I'm all over the place. Sometimes I'm a lib. Sometimes I'm right. Doesn't matter. This show is for 70% of the population. That's how many I think of us there are out there who I consider the normals. We are the normals. 70%, 15% on the right are lost. We're never getting them back. Those people are weird. They've always been weird, but now they've found sort of this political identity to wrap themselves on. 15% of those people on the right, they're lost. We got 15% on the left who are lost too. Those are the people who are like, no, you know what? I don't even want to go into it. See, because that would then defeat the purpose of trying not to be political. Point is this show is all about everything that's happening today, whether it's a hot topic, a headline, a big piece of global breaking news. I give it to you. I tell you everything that's happening in the world today. I work hard. We've been doing it every day for 3 years, Monday through Friday. It's like a talk show, again, but with no political partisanship or anything like that. Let's see here. We got a chat room. Everybody come on in the chat room. Chat room is a fun place. A lot of fun people in the chat room. Let's say hi to April. Hi. We say hi to Peter. Hi. Let's say hi to James. Let's say hi to Byron. We got Cam. We got Jeff. Here we go again. Got to make it bigger. Who was first in? Let me go all the way back to the beginning. Looks like Peter was first in. Where's Taranda? There she is. I'm sorry. Taranda was in there before. So this show is about current events, hot topics, hot takes, all of that kind of thing. Chat room, I want everybody in the chat. Chat room's a fun place. Chat room's been growing lately. That's good to see. I hope more and more people make this kind of a daily hangout forum. That's the whole point of this show. We need to grow. And oddly enough, we have actually seen slight growth of late. So let's build on that. Build on that. 4 quarters. I do the show. I perform the show for you in 4 quarters. 4 simple to understand quarters. The first one is called antecedently on this day. That's the first thing we do. Antecedently on this day is really nothing more than this day in history. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. Quarter 3 is deads. These are people who have died on this day. We talk about what they did, what they're known for, and then we decide where'd they go. What do you think? Heaven or hell? That's fun. I like quarter 3. Quarter 4 is all of the breaking news, the headlines, the hot topics, whatever it is people are screaming about today. That's where we get into all of the daily current events in the 4th quarter. But don't distress. The first 3 quarters go by fairly quickly. It's the 4th quarter that takes the bulk of the show. Jeff Ballard is in the chat room. Jeff Ballard is trying to mafoogie the Boston Celtics by openly rooting for them. See, here's what's going on with Jeff. Jeff's going to be in the chat room, and he's going to be like, "Go Celtics," because our Mavs are playing the Celtics tonight here in Dallas. Mavs down 0-2, 2 games to none. Mavs down. It is definitely a must win. I mean, if you're going to give up you're supposed to give them up, the first 2, that's fine. If they had come away with 1 win in Boston, it would have been said that they had stolen one. So, okay. So what happened. It's supposed to happen. Boston wins in Boston. We got to win. We got to win in Dallas now. It's a big game. So James has taken upon himself to be the cooler. He is going to openly be rooting for the Boston Celtics because he believes that everything he roots for fails, which is, a terrible way to go through life. That can't possibly be true. I've seen your pictures of your lovely wife and your happy family. So, Anyway, don't be too rough on Jeff. He's just playing along. Hi, Jameson. Jameson is here. Oh. Hey, this show runs on your tips and your gratuities, and we sure do appreciate it, especially in the week after a pledge drive, because pledge drive typically goes to pay all the bills, and then that means that there is absolutely nothing for yours truly. So I eat ramen for the next few days, but but that's okay. Hey, that's all part of the plan. That's all part of what I've grown to experience these 3 years doing this show. We're making it. We're doing it. We're fine. But every day we do have an executive producer. That is the person who on the previous day tips the absolute biggest. And today our executive producer is our old friend Terry. Or does he go by Barney? Doesn't matter. Thank you so much. Whenever Terry S. produces the show, you know it's going to be a wang dang dilly of a stream. Thank you, Terry. What else do we need to mention? Oh yeah, we'll put that up just in case anybody's like, I'll throw them a couple bucks for today. Like I'm basically your entertaining bartender. Do you know what I've never given any thought to until just now? Isn't this weird? I've never really given any thought to how you people are actually ingesting this. Never really thought about that. Like, are some of you at work? Are some of you, I know many of you are listening to this hours later. I'm talking essentially, I guess, about the people who I see and hang out with every day in the chat room. Like Barney, there he is. Barney shares and likes and does all that stuff with all of the promotion of the show. And I appreciate that deeply. I appreciate that every bit as much as people who maybe support the show financially and all that stuff. Thank you so much for all of it. But it is very important, man. You got to start promoting the show. You guys, bring a friend. Look, I would no. We're gonna do a bring a friend thing. I hate that. Those are bad. But promote it. Just share it on your, if you see it on your Facebook page, share it. If you see it come across Twitter, share it. Why not? That's all that needs to be done. Okay, the mailman is coming down the block. I can see him. That means the dog, who is currently sleeping. Now, actually, she's currently licking her butt, which has been something she's been doing the last couple of days. I'm starting to worry that we've got a butt infection in the house. You know what else she did? She ate a dead bird the other day. She got it halfway down her gullet. I didn't know what she was doing. I thought she was digging. And like she looks, I go, hey, what do you got? The dog has something, and you're like, what do they got? I'm like, what do you got? And it was dark out. So I had to whip out my phone because I have my little spotlight on my phone. So I had to whip out my phone and I put it, and I saw like this dead bird hanging out of her mouth. And I'm like, bird flu. I don't know how serious bird flu is, but it freaked me out a little bit. And now she's licking her butt. So guess who's going to have to see if there's any correlation between licking your butt and bird flu? Me. She did. She had like a bird in her. She just looks at me. I'm like, what are you doing? And what do you got? And she goes, and she's like a bird hanging out of her mouth. And by the way, it wasn't a fresh kill either. It wasn't like she killed it and had, but this was like something that had been sun-dried. It was like sun-dried dead bird. And you Texans know exactly what I'm talking about. They're like flat and crispy, like they've been fried in a pan. It's just, let's see here. Byron says, I'm banned on X, or I would be dragging those assholes. What? Why are you banned? I don't want to know. Never mind. I don't need to know why Byron is banned on X. Okay, here comes the UPS guy now. All right, let's see how the dog reacts. Oh, wait a second. Well, sounds like he's walking around with a radio on a speaker. All right, let's get started with the show here. Maybe the dog will just ignore him because she's kind of preoccupied licking her butt. It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. It is the 12th day. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12th day of June, year of our Lord, 2024. 164th day of the year. That means that there are only 202 remaining. As I said, 4 quarters is how this show plays out, and antecedently on this day is up first. Antecedently on this day, what year? Sorry, 1775, ladies and gentlemen. During the American War of Independence, British General Thomas Gage declares martial law in Massachusetts. The British offer a pardon to all the colonists who lay down their arms. But there would be only two exceptions. Samuel Adams and John Hancock, if captured, were to be hanged. That's pretty cool. I mean, not at the time, like historically, like I promise you, like the great-great-great-great-grandchild of Samuel Adams is like, and my grandfather was the only one in the colonies who the British said they wouldn't let go. My grandfather was the only one who they said they would. Well, not the only one, but also John Hancock. John Hancock's descendants are doing the same thing. My point is this. Right now, they're crowing about it. It's like, that's why it's cool to have the last name Hancock. But I bet you on the night this was going on, this sucked. I bet like John Hancock was like, wait, what? Wait, what, me? Oh, fuck. Adams, what did you drag me into? Sam Adams is like working on what? He's working on beer or something. All right, there. By the way, that's the true story of Sam Adams. The Sam Adams beer. Jim Cook. I'm Jim Cook. Jim Cook is the owner and the great-great-great-great-grandson or whatever of Sam Adams. And he was going through. They had like family treasures. Like they weren't rich. Like they were. The Jim Cook didn't grow up. The descendant of Samuel Adams didn't grow up rich. But he had always known that there were these things that had been passed down in his family that were the personal belongings of Samuel Adams, the great patriot. And one of those things were like recipes. Like he had a cookbook. Like Sam Adams liked to cook and stuff. And one of the things that Jim Cook took to was a like long time ago, old timey beer recipe that Sam Adams apparently used to make. And that was the basis for what we have today, Sam Adams beer. That's why it's called Sam Adams beer. And I love Jim Cook. And in my early days of radio, Jim Cook was an incredibly generous advertiser to the station that I was on and the radio shows that I was a part of. And Jim Cook was always a great host. He would bring us out to Boston once a year and we'd have just the time of our lives. He was wonderful, but I cannot drink that beer. Sorry. Not my thing. It was a problem. It was a real problem because Sam Adams was a huge player in my early 20s. And whenever I went out in public, I had to drink Sam Adams, and it was awful. That's actually how I started drinking whiskey. That's how I started just walking around with a glass of whiskey because I couldn't stomach just like drinking Sam Adams all night. It wasn't my thing. They had one brand that I could kind of tolerate, but they didn't it wasn't available everywhere. And that was like the Sam Adams Light Chip Lager. And that was like a beer that Jim Cook made for specifically people like me who he thought would drink his beer because the marketing had been so effective, but they just didn't like the taste of actual Sam Adams. So he made this like other Sam Adams for, beer posers, I suppose. And that's what the Light Chip was. And I thought that was okay. There was also a cranberry. There was also like a seasonal cranberry beer that I thought was kind of nice. But no, did not like Sam Adams. Antecedently on this day in 1817, the earliest form... Oh, this is fun. On this day in 1817, a patent was given. And it's the birth of the very first a dandy horse. Dandy, the dandy horse, was invented on this day. And it was everywhere. It was in all the stores. And people went, oh, look, the new dandy horse is on sale. And no one bought it. That's why we now know it as the bicycle. That's right. The bicycle was invented on this day. It was called the dandy horse. On this day in 1940, oh geez, here's like probably just a regift. This was like probably, you know what I mean? This talk about a regift that turns into something that is just hopefully going to be an artifact of humanity for millennia to come. It was on this day in 1942 that a young 13-year-old Anne Frank receives a diary from a relative on her 13th birthday. Woo! Come on, we gotta go. Where did you get her anything? No. Is there anything? Well, I got this stupid diary in the Christmas white elephant. Okay, we'll just give it to Anne. That's what we'll get. And then look at that, Anne Frank's diary. It becomes Anne Frank's diary. I'm not saying that's how it happened. I'm saying that's how I like to think it happened. Antecedently on this day in 1964, anti-apartheid activists and ANC leader, that's African National Congress leader, Nelson Mandela is sentenced to life in prison for sabotage in South Africa. 64, they put Nelson Mandela in prison. So what did he spend? 20 years? 20 years, and then he became like the coolest guy in the world. You know, he went from like, 1964, he's in prison, he's the worst person in the world and all that stuff. And then all through the 70s, he's in prison and he's getting skinny. His hair is overgrown. And then all of a sudden, like in the mid 80s, he's on stage with Will Smith at like the MTV Awards. That dude had a life turn. Talk about a third act. Nelson Mandela. Not born on this day, I'm sorry. Antecedently on this day in 1981, the first of the Indiana Jones films is released in theaters. What was the first one? You remember the first one? Oh, I do, of course, because I'm old. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, right. They didn't, I was more Star Wars, and it wasn't that you had to choose because, this was George Lucas, this was Han Solo, so it wasn't like, well, I'm either. There was probably majority crossover from the Star Wars one and all that. But I don't know. I never really got into the Raiders of the Lost Ark movies. I really got into Han Solo, Harrison Ford. I really liked Harrison Ford, but I already liked him as Han Solo. I liked him in Blade Runner. That they were fun. The Raiders of the Lost Ark were fun. I haven't seen them all. That should tell you. I mean, I've seen all the Star Wars. I haven't seen all the. I stopped watching Raiders of the Lost Ark movies 20 years ago. Anyway, the first one came out today, and I know they've only made like 2 since. I know, but I haven't seen them. I haven't seen any of them. Like I don't recognize who's the dude. Is it Leonardo DiCaprio? I don't know. They brought in some young Indiana Jones or something. I don't recognize that part of the canon. I think to me, there's really only 2 movies. There's Indiana Jones, or there's Raiders of the Lost Ark, and there's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That's it. That's it, dog. You just lean on the camera. Whatever gets you a better angle to lick your butt. That's what she's doing right now. She's licking her butt. She's knocking the camera around. Hey, move your foot. Move this. Get it out of there. Sorry. She's lounging on her chair and she's licking her butt and she is using her tail. Her tail is hitting the camera. Anyway, you don't need to know the details. Let's see. Antecedently on this day, 1981, Indiana Jones, first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, is released in theaters. Antecedently on this day in 1987, during the Cold War at the Brandenburg Gate, United States President Ronald Reagan gave his Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Big speech there at the Brandenburg Gate. Wall came down. I don't know how much sooner did it come down? It was a couple of years. Still big speech. I'm just, big speech, big moment in time, historical moment, and we know what happened next in a couple of years. Antecedently on this day in 2016, an attack on a gay nightclub in Orlando. This is the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. All right, this is I started to read it. And I'm like, oh yeah. Let's see here. 49 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando on this day in 2016. 58 others were injured. The gunman. Remember, the gunman was like an Arab dude. Omar Mateen is killed in the gunfight with police. So here's what was going on with Omar Mateen. Omar Mateen was a gay man. Omar Mateen was a gay man who nobody knew he was a gay man, and he hated that he was a gay man because he was also a devout Muslim. And Omar Mateen, I don't know, this is how you get the brain scramblies when those two conflicting things are, your core ideology. Went a little, over the edge, and he went to the Pulse nightclub and he decided to kill a whole bunch of gay people because he himself was gay and couldn't live with it. There you go. Makes sense? No. On this day, antecedently in 2018, United States President Donald J. Trump and Kim Jong-un of North Korea held their first meeting between the two leaders in the country. Okay, yeah, that was a thing that happened. That was the thing that should never have happened, but it happened, and I don't know why shouldn't have happened. Well, because we are the United States of motherfucking America, and we do not give even the slightest bit of attention to a 4-foot-tall, despotic slave autocrat. That's why. How's that for an answer? He isn't worth our time. He is a pest. He is not acknowledged by the rest of the world. And you know why the rest of the world doesn't acknowledge him? You know why they're the hermit kingdom? Because we decided that was going to be the thing years and years ago. So what does it do? It basically, it gives him credibility to the rest of the world. And we don't want him to have any credibility because he's Kim Jong-un. I'm not going to deal with Kim Jong-un. That little bitch is going to do what we say because he's a bad guy and he enslaves an entire nation of people. He's going to do what we say, or he's going to shut the fuck up and he's going to be isolated from the rest of the world. That's the deal. We don't need to be meeting with Kim Jong-un. There we go. All right, let's do some birthdays, ladies and gentlemen. Q2. These are some people. They say it's their birthdays. Born on this day in 1916, Irwin Allen. Come on, y'all. Irwin Allen. Irwin Allen. You guys, back before I was the filmophile that I am now, my earliest, like if you had caught me at 6 and engaged me in a conversation about film, yeah, I would have sung the praises of Irwin Allen. Man, Irwin Allen, when I was 6, he was like the best. You want to know some of the stuff that he did? How about Towering Inferno? Yeah, he burnt a building down. You know what that was like for me? At like 5, looking at that going, that's O.J. Simpson. Awesome. Poseidon Adventure. I will say that one of the core reasons that I despise the even concept of cruising, boat, I don't really have a take on the gay thing, cruising. That's not I'm not gay. So, but as far as the other kind of cruising, I am really against getting on a boat for 5 days with a bunch of strangers and eating what is essentially Golden Corral food. No, thank you. So I don't like cruising. And Irwin Allen is one of the reasons for that, because of Poseidon Adventure. What else did they do? Lost in Space? Come on! Have you any idea how important Lost in Space as a television series was to me as a young man? Very. Anyway, the great Irwin Allen was born on this day, and we should all pour a little something out for him. He dead. He died a long time ago. He was an old man. Born on this day in 1916, Irwin Allen. Born on this day in 1929. Here's another one we already talked about her. Anne Frank. Happy birthday. Look at her. Known German-Dutch diarist. Okay, look, because somebody just gave her a diary. They're like, we need a gift. Born on this day in 1930, Jim Nabors, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Nabors. Jim Nabors he was Gomer Pyle, right? He had a TV show. If you're my age, maybe you saw it on reruns when you were real little. I don't know that he is. I don't know. Jim Nabors has stood the test of time. Moving on. Let's see here. Marv Albert, born on this day in 1941. From downtown. He's old. He's older than I thought. I mean, he's not old, but he's older than I thought. Born on this day in 1941, Marv Albert, the voice of NBC basketball for years and years. He was the guy, man. All of the Dream Team and, all of those, the Michael Jordan years and the finals. Those are all Marv Albert. He was great. Then he got into a sex scandal, and we all found out about the kind of stuff that Marv Albert was into sexually, and it made it weird watching him. He was into like BDSM and stuff, and he liked to be dominated, and he liked things to happen to him. that I don't think any man should allow ever to happen to him. But whatever. From downtown. All right, let's see here. Born on this day in 1958. Here's a lady who's very important in my life. Now, this is a minor little thing that occurred in my life. But it did. Okay, so very early, when not very early, but probably 97, I want to say this was. So I was a producer on a radio show, and I had been started to get more responsibilities. Like, I was brought in on the music meetings. Like, I was training as a music director. It's like, okay, so I'll learn whatever I need to do. So one of my roles as a music director back in these days was, man, we got sent so much music, and the actual music director couldn't listen to it all, so he would farm it out. So he said, here, grab this stack, listen to this music, and tell me if there's anything that we can talk about in our next meeting. So it's a fun job, as you can imagine, for a 20-year-old. You know, I'm working at one of the most influential radio stations in America, and they're saying, here, are we going to make any of these people superstars? As I get into my piece of shit car and battle traffic, right? It's funny that kind of power is delegated to. So I found one song. It's our birthday girl today. I found one song out of all of these ones, and I walked in and I was really high on it. And I said, I'm like, this is a freaking hit. I go, I don't know who this person is. I've never heard of them before. I go, but listen to this chorus. And we're listening to the chorus. And I'm like, could you hear entire rooms full of girls singing? And they're like, I guess, yeah. He passed. Didn't make it. The song didn't make it on the air with us. 2 weeks later, the big alternative station in town adds it. And the song blows up and it becomes a big hit. And the program director and the music director were like, you had that one. You had that one. We didn't believe you, but you had that one. I'm like, yeah, I had that one. Meredith Brooks. It's Meredith Brooks' birthday now. I know what you're saying, Pugs. All of that for the I'm a bitch girl. Yeah, I heard it. I knew it was going to be a hit. These other men in the room, they didn't know it was going to be a hit. They didn't buy it. I said, this is going to be a hit. And sure enough, in some other music meeting at some other radio station in town, a very influential alternative rock station, they started playing it, and the song blows up from coast to coast. Meredith Brooks, you almost owe me your career, but you don't, because the people who were listening to me weren't listening to me. I'm a bitch. I heard that chorus, and I'm sitting in traffic, and I'm like, okay, this is something. And anytime you go back and you listen to like a chorus over and over again, and by the fifth time you're like singing it and you know all the words, that's how you know. Now look, you can't be a music snob when you're doing that. What you got to do is you got to look for stuff that you think is going to resonate with a large audience. Meredith Brooks, born on this day in 1958. What does she even look like? I mean, back then I remember she was pretty cute because I followed her because I was like, hold on, let's see. I can't play the song because I can't play music anymore. But she had a song called I'm a Bitch. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's what she looked like back then. Here, this is what she looked like back when I failed to make her a star. But somebody else did, so boom. All right. And one-hit wonders are always a fascination of mine. What is that? Is that more recent? That looks more recent. That's all right. All right, there she is. She's a bitch. She's a mother. She's a something or another. Meredith Brooks. Celebrating a birthday today. Born on this day in 1959, Scott Thompson of the Kids in the Hall. I always loved Scott Thompson. Born on this day in 1985. Ugh, this woman. Born on this day in 1985, just mid-talent, Scranton 9, but just endlessly irritating, who somehow became like a national celebrity because she got naked and pretended to live with Hugh Hefner. Kendra Wilkinson. You guys remember Kendra Wilkinson? Oh, I guess we got to look at her now, too. Kendra Wilkinson, oh my God, I got into a fight with her at the Grammys live on the air. She was on something. We had the other, remember when Hugh Hefner pretended that he had 3 girlfriends and then he did a reality show about what it's like being 105 with 3 20-year-old girlfriends. Remember he did that? What was it called? I don't know. But Kendra, well, there she is. Kendra was one of them. Sign in? What? I don't want to sign in. Why are you being a jerk about this? Hold on. There we go. Okay, here we go. That was weird. So this girl, you remember her. So they made us talk to her and like the 2 other ones. And they sat down with me and my former partner, Kelly, and we start talking to them. We start having just like a normal conversation. And it's going very well with the other 2. Who was the other 2? Holly Madison and somebody else. I don't know, whatever. They seemed like they understood what this was. Meanwhile, this idiot, the birthday girl here, Kendra Wilkinson, she's sitting directly across from me and she's making noises. She's just not speaking. She's just going burp, 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 burp. And I kept having to stop. And I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? Hey, Kendra, what's going on with you? And she's like, oh, nothing. And I'm like, what? And I don't know I think she was on pills or something. And then so we went back to, we're having a nice little conversation. We're fulfilling our obligation to the Playboy people to talk to these nincompoops. I had no interest in speaking to them. So we're having a nice, and then she starts doing it again. It's Kendra Wilkinson, blip, 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 blip. And at this point, I think Kelly was like, hey, you know what? What is wrong with you? Like, just called her out. Like the mom came out of her. What is wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, what is wrong with you? And at that point, I think Kelly and I both realized that the best part of this interview was now going to be me and her being really mean to this, this idiot. And she got up and she walked away, and then we wrapped it up, and it's kind of hot though. But she's like no better than a Scranton 9. That's what Kendra Wilkinson is. That Holly Madison, that's the one I remember. She was far more beautiful. She was just like stunning. And then you got like this girl who looks like she works at a Twin Peaks in Arlington. She's hot, but nothing like truly spectacular. Let's see here. What else do we have? I'm just looking to see if anybody's new in the chat room that I need to say. There's Bill. Bill's in the chat room. Smee is in the chat room. Executive producer Barney lurking about. Born on this day in 1985, Kendra Wilkinson. She's awful. I hope she's better now. I hope she was just a dumb, stupid kid caught up in this whole Playboy lifestyle, and now she's like a woman in her 40s and she's kind of normal. I hope that's the case. Moving on. Born on this day in 1990. Okay, guys, let's all of us get together and wish a really awful, awful birthday to Boston Celtics shooting guard. Yeah, he's the shooting guard. Drew Holiday. There you go. Sorry, let me pronounce that properly. I don't think the J was pronounced enough. Drew Holiday. I remember him with the Bucks. Ugh, good. The Bulls. We hated him with the Bucks. I'm a Bulls fan. We hated him. And now he's with the Celtics, and he's trying to get another ring. And today is his birthday, and he's playing at 7:30. So let's all wish a very unhappy birthday to Drew Holiday of the Boston Celtics. How many? What time is it? 12:30. So what is that? 6? What do we got? 7? 7 hours till when is the game? Game is 7:30. 7 hours. God. What am I going to do with the next 7 hours? All right, we'll do a show. We'll do a little of this. Let's get into quarter 3. This is quarter 3. These are the people who've died on this day. We like to take a look at their lives and decide, did they go up or did they go down? Heaven or hell for these folks. Hold on. Noise. Okay. Deads. The deads. We call it the deads. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Dead on this day. This is crazy. How is this not? I don't understand how this wasn't listed in any of the Is it because maybe the bodies were discovered after midnight? And maybe this occurred the deaths occurred the previous Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman died on this day, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm getting at. The OJ murders. On this day in 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson, ex-wife of OJ Simpson, and Ron Goldman, a restaurant employee, were murdered. They died. So I bet tomorrow is going to be the day. It's like on this day, OJ murdered, but no, they actually because remember it was at night. The restaurant had closed. So So the murders probably occurred. Oh, they did. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I recently watched a whole bunch of OJ stuff. Yeah, the murders occurred at like 10:30 at night, but then weren't discovered. The police didn't officially discover the bodies until after midnight, which would be over 90 minutes later. And so then I guess that's what the paperwork would officially say, that the bodies were found, the crime occurred, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, they go to heaven. We're putting them both in heaven. Putting them both in heaven. Kidding me? No justice for them? We know that OJ did it. No justice for them? We know that he got away with murder. They're in heaven. He's not. He is not, though. He's not up there bugging them. It's not like it has to be awkward like at the heaven all-you-can-eat most awesome buffet ever. You know, they're all just walking around with their plates. It'll never be awkward up there for Ron Goldman and Nicole when they bump into OJ, because he ain't there. What happened to the remote? Damn smart TV. You gotta keep doing this. You don't have to keep doing it, but you do it every now and again. Dead on this day in 2003, Hollywood actor, icon, legend, one of the great stars of all time, a guy I know absolutely nothing about. Ladies and gentlemen, Gregory Peck. Right? Like, I know the name because I'm Gen X. I know the name Gregory Peck is like exalted. Is like, he was the greatest. But he doesn't really have a signature role, does he? I can't what Gregory Peck, like Jimmy Stewart's got a whole bunch of signature roles. Cary Grant's got signature roles. Spencer Tracy has signature roles. I can't really think Paul Newman. These guys, they got signature roles. And I'm going to put them in heaven because I don't want to overthink it or anything, because whatever. Catch a Mockingbird? When the Atticus Finch, right? That's all right, whatever, I don't care. I'm not going to be too much of a dick about heaven or hell today. All right, this next guy, dead on this day in 2022. He's one of them That Guy actors, and you know how I love them. Dead on this day in 2022, legendary That Guy actor, Philip Baker Hall, ladies and gentlemen. Philip Baker Hall. Well, let me pull up a picture of him so you guys can see who he is. Because as soon as you don't know who Philip Baker Hall is, you're like, oh, like Philip Hoffmore Seaman, whatever. That's a porn star. Philip Hoffmore Seaman. Oh, that's a great porn star. All right, this dude right here, Philip Baker Hall. He always played like a curmudgeon-y old guy. This guy. Interestingly enough, we were just talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman, or Philip Hoffmore Seaman, which is a great porn star name. We were just talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman, and this is Philip Baker Hall, and they were both in Boogie Nights together. Boogie Nights! One of P.T. Anderson's great films. He was, of course, the pedophile porno super producer who put all the money into Burt Reynolds' porno career and all that stuff. Great movie. Boogie Nights is a great movie. Not ready to watch that with my 15-year-old son yet, but I can't wait to. All right. You know who else he was? Wasn't he the library detective from Seinfeld? He's in Seinfeld remember he was coming to collect like 30 years of overdue books from Jerry or George or somebody. I'm putting him in heaven because I love that guy. He always made me laugh. Philip Baker Hall, dead on this day in 2022. Dead on this day in 2023. How about former Italian, some called him a dictator, Silvio Berlusconi? He's going to hell. He's going to hell for any number of reasons. First and foremost, career politician. Secondly, kind of a fascist. Thirdly, bunga parties. Remember that? Of all the shit that Silvio Berlusconi was involved in, and he was involved in all kinds of nonsense. I mean, he was really, really a scandalous dude. The ones we remember are the bunga bunga parties, where this dude for years just threw these underage orgy parties, like straight out of that Tom Cruise movie, Eyes Wide Shut. Berlusconi was like throwing these things. He's going to hell. Why, of course he is. All right, that's going to do it. As far as the first three quarters go, I want to remind everybody that the big tipper of the day goes on to receive what we call the executive producer title for the following show. Today's executive producer is Terry S. Thank you so much, Terry. Here, if you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is be the big tipper. And there you are. I'm going to leave that up now as we go into quarter four. All right, I'll consider it a sign of growth whenever we get these people in the chat room who are, pushing other things. What, like a bot? What do we got, a bot in the chat room? I'll take it. Progress. By the way, join me today at 4:05. Today I'm going to be on a little bit earlier, 4:05 on WBAP 93.3 FM here in Dallas. The James Parker Show. I'll be on with James at 4:05 today. No idea what I'm talking about yet. That's a problem for after this stream. We'll get into that after the stream. So tune in. You'll never know. Or you'll never know, I should say. All right, let's talk about all the things that are trending today. These are the big stories, the hot topics, everything that's happening in our world as we speak. Ceasefire. That's what's going on over there. Nope, not going on over there. Because here's the deal. Remember I told you? Old rock star Anthony Blinken. He's over there playing some gigs and negotiating a ceasefire there with the Israelis and the Gazinians. I don't know. I'm calling them Gazinians. And here's the deal. Okay, so the Biden ceasefire plan. Oh boy. Like I said yesterday, man, in any normal election year, that would probably be enough to knock him over the top, peace in the Middle East. Nah, it'll just backfire on him. It'll work. He'll do it, and there'll be peace in the Middle East, but somehow it'll backfire on this dude, and it won't be good. Anyway, moving on. So anyway, they got the Biden deal over there, and apparently they vetted it with a bunch of other world nations, and they're all like, yeah, this is good. They should reasonably accept this. Both sides seem to, Israel has accepted it. Netanyahu said, yeah, okay, we're good with that. They gave it to Hamas yesterday, and we were waiting on Hamas, and Hamas got back pretty quickly and was like, no, nah, not going to accept it. Not going to accept peace right now. That's what Hamas said. Hamas has a couple of changes that they said could change their opinion. So they gave the changes. And Blinken, our Secretary of State and global troubadour, Blinken said today that the two changes that they wanted, one was something that they could talk about, but the other was a non-starter. So where are all the college kids at? Oh, they all went home. That's why. Their dedication to this issue was only for in-school hours, I guess. Only for when their parents are paying for them, room and board and all that. That's what the college student America's interest. That's where right now they're all wearing bikinis hanging out at Party Cove, arguing with people they've never met before about weird Palestinian issues that should never be argued about at Party Cove. But yeah, college kids. They went back to being college kids. It's on them now. It is on Hamas. Come on. The people that you were protesting for, and I know that's a bit unfair, they were protesting for the people of Gaza, in a greater sense, the people of Palestine. But the people of Gaza directly is who they were protesting for. But the people of Gaza continue to support and have supported now for almost a decade Hamas. Hamas, who is the terror organization who started this whole thing by invading Israel on October 7th. So, God, it's so jacked up, man. I mean, these people, they literally are being held hostage by this regime that they voted in office. I don't know what their voices are these days. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what the man on the street in Gaza says. I don't know. But man, anyway, the peace deal seems like it's a big turd. And it's dead in the water as of right now. Who knows? It could come back. They're going to keep trying. In between Blinken working out bridges, I'm trying to come up with a bridge for this new jam that I... All right, how about this one? This has got a whole bunch of people on Twitter in a tizzy this morning. Even CNN's been tracking it all morning long. How about this? There are Russian warships off the coast of Florida. I told you. I told you this was happening. I told you this was happening a couple of days ago. I said this is, or was it Friday of last week? Sitting right here. I'm like, their Havana is welcoming in like the Russian Atlantic Fleet. Bunch of nuke subs and shit just being welcomed in to Havana Harbor, 90 miles away from Miami, Florida. And of course, these boats were out there this morning, and they were cruising around, and they got really close, within 30 miles of the Florida shore. Nuclear Russian submarines and battleships, like 30 miles off the coast. Come on, man. Now that is provocative to my Cold War heart. Anyway, it's been going on all morning. And now apparently the ships are back in port, and CNN's been showing the warships sitting in port there. U.S. deploys warships as Russian fleet makes close pass to Florida. The U.S. Navy has deployed warships and aircraft to track a Russian naval flotilla after the Russian vessel sailed less than 30 miles off of Florida's coast Tuesday. Last week, Moscow sent 3 ships and a nuclear-powered submarine to the Caribbean for what do you say, Caribbean? Nah, we won't get into that again. That was yesterday's fun. Last week, Moscow sent 3 ships and a nuclear-powered submarine to the Caribbean for what U.S. officials say. It doesn't matter. What do we care? We don't care. They're there. Keep an eye on them. Putin being provocative. Well, isn't this interesting? All kinds of shit going on over there in his battle. His summer offensive doesn't seem to be going off to the way that he had wanted it to. Thanks in part to a whole bunch of American artillery that got sent there. Money for more artillery. And now what? Now he's got a Russian nuclear sub 30 miles away from Miami, Florida. We're just going to ignore that? We're just going to be totally cool with that? We're going to keep talking about how awesome Putin is? Dude, he's like got this fucked up situation going on over there in the Ukraine, and he might be on his last thing. And we are contemplating whether or not we're going to send NATO boots on the ground. Just yesterday, there's a story about NATO advisors, unarmed NATO advisors, going in with Ukraine troops. That's the kind of shit that we're talking about, upping our American presence in that fight that's happening right now. We're talking about that. And at the very same time, Putin's coincidentally sailing a nuclear sub 30 miles off of... Come on, man. These are the things we should be paying attention to, not making excuses for Putin. Ugh. It's not a coincidence. These are all saber rattles. All right, here's another weird thing that happened this morning that I just thought crazy. Southern Baptists. Now, I don't know much about Southern Baptists. Are these the people with the snakes? No, I think those are Pentecostals. Southern Baptists, though, they're pretty hardcore, right? And they're fairly unforgiving with the way that they go about their interpretation of Jesus, who, I don't know, I interpret him a little different. He seems pretty cool in my idea, but them, Southern Baptists seem to think Jesus is a jerk. A judgmental, vengeful jerk. But okay, to each his own. Some people saw Pulp Fiction and didn't like it. So we interpret things differently. Southern Baptists held their big annual convention today, and one of the major things was the ratification of something that was passed at last year's Southern Baptist Convention, which was an idea of banning. Here's what they voted on today. They tried to ban from the Southern Baptist Convention, so from their little group of judgmental bigots, they tried to ban any existing Southern Baptist church that currently has a female pastor. That's what the big issue at this 2024 Southern Baptist Convention was: stripping any church that has a female pastor of its Southern Baptist affiliation. Now, luckily that failed. Not by much. If it was a simple majority vote, it would have lost. 61% of people in attendance at the Southern Baptist Annual Convention, 61% voted to kick out of the Southern Baptist Conference any church that had a woman pastor. Whoo! 61%. It needed 2/3 supermajority, and it didn't get that. But thankfully, geez, man, they're going full Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, I'm not a woman. I do not have a daughter. I don't even have a wife. I got a mom. She's, she's a little bit older. She fought for feminism and all that. She fucking balled out. She doesn't need to concern herself. She laid the groundwork. It's not her concern what this next generation allows to happen. And, like I said, I've got no horse in this. I'm a guy, but I'm going to offer you my few cents here. If I was a woman, I would feel a real sense to get radicalized really quickly, because give an inch, take a foot, right? That's what's going on. I remember a year ago now when the abortion stuff started to happen, where they started to take away abortion. And in that moment, there were some loudmouth dummies crying about, if this is allowed to happen, they're going to come for contraception next. And I was like, oh, shut up. So stupid. They ain't coming for contraception. A year later, they're coming for contraception. That's for real. They're trying to ban contraception now. They got abortion. Give them an inch, they'll take a foot. So again, if I'm a woman, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, okay, wait a second. There's shit being taken away from me right now. And then you look to the number one, the biggest issue at the Southern Baptist Annual Convention. The Southern Baptist, one of the largest faith, I don't know what to call them. They're not are they a denomination? Whatever. A very powerful entity in these here United States. One of their main issues today was whether or not women in 2024 should be allowed to do something that they've been allowed to do in the Southern Baptist for almost 60 years. They're just going to go back. They're just going to take it away from them now. So like I said, I ain't got no wife. I ain't got no daughters. I got a mom who, as I said, put in the legwork for her generation. That's not going to be denied by anybody who knows her. And she doesn't have to concern herself with this nonsense. If the women of today want to just sit passively by and allow this to happen, hey, but I don't know, man. I'm just seeing these things happen. And I'm like, you women should probably, unless you're okay with it. And that's what I always say about the abortion thing, which is why I don't really publicly talk about my stance on abortion. Let the women come out in the vote. Come on, women. This is your issue. This affects your body. This is, honestly, to me, it's a woman's health issue. It is a woman's health issue that affects men, especially if men are in that woman's life. But there's a lot of men who are not in the woman's life. There's a lot of women who just get knocked up. And at that point, it's a woman's health issue, okay? Stop romanticizing that every man is like, I just want my baby. That's not true. It's silly. It's a woman's health issue. It's women got to come out, man. You women, you got to decide, get yourself together. I don't know. Here's what I think the problem is with women as I watch social media. Because I follow a number of sexy ladies with hot opinions on the social medias from both sides. I got a bunch of but hell, I follow Candace Owens because she's a sexy lady. She's a sexy lady with stupid opinions, but I still follow her. Here's what it seems to me. It seems to me that there are a lot of the problem that women who do not want their autonomy, let's just say in general, women who do not want their autonomy as they've come to know it, eroded, seem to be significantly younger than women who are like, well, I've always been against abortion. Like, it's always like a 48-year-old woman who's done having kids, who's now suddenly, running the local anti-abortion, political cause or whatever. Younger. I think it's younger women. I think it's younger women. I don't know. Hey, I'm going to stay out of it. But my God, the Southern Baptists tried to ban women from the Catholic Church is actually, that's one of the things that Frank talks about. We should maybe let Pope Frank. He's like, maybe we should let women be more involved. The Catholic Church, Da Vinci Code bullshit is actually moving in the other direction. And the Southern Baptists of America in 2024 tried to strip any church that had a female pastor from being affiliated with the Southern Baptists. All right, moving on. That was today. Big news, fun news, weird news. How about Oprah? You guys hearing this? What are you doing? I don't know if you can hear the dog off in the distance, but she is basically orgasming while writhing around on the carpeting on her back, exposing all of her genitals and all of. She's got one set, but it's very gross. In her, but just go lay down. All right, sorry about that. I am a little distracted here. YouTube chat ain't feeding. I don't know what that means. That sounds like it's probably a YouTube problem, Byron. Although, let me see if I can try something. Boom. Okay, let me try that again. I don't know. I just did whatever I can do. I'm trying to see. All right, let's keep going. Sorry, I'm going to only Facebook comments have merged. The YouTube isn't. Okay, isn't that interesting? That explains some things. But no, they're merged. Here, let me try and reboot, maybe. Hold on, we'll be right back. I'm going to reboot real quick. All right. Let's see if maybe now this. No. All right. Well, I don't know, but I apologize to the folks on Facebook if they're not getting the full high noon rant experience for today. My bad. Let's go. Oprah. Let's talk about Oprah. Oprah's apparently she was in the hospital. This is a story. Can I just tell you my journalism thing? This is not a real story, but it's being presented all around like it's a real story. Why? Because you're going to get people to click on a story that says Oprah has been hospitalized with severe stomach. That's basically the story. The way this story is being pushed out there, you'd think like she was rushed to a hospital and CNN is sending correspondents there. And that's not what this is. You know what this story is about Oprah? And you'll see it going around today. Hold on. Let me see what headline. What headline is this one? Here's the headline here. Okay, so this is a good example of just how this was being pushed and how it's being reported this morning. Oprah hospitalized for, quote, very serious stomach issues. And that's it. No more context, just that. So you'll hear that, you think, oh my God, maybe she was at one of her lavish dinners and she's doubled over and they had to rush ambulances there. And Oprah was then medevaced out. Oh, this is so serious. Oprah, America's queen of chat. That's not what happened at all. You want to know how this became a story? Here's how it became a story. Because Oprah didn't go to something she was supposed to go to. Oprah was, I don't know what it was, some art gala or something. And she didn't go probably because she's motherfucking Oprah and she didn't want to go. Right. So people were like, Oprah didn't show. So her pal, her little winged monkey, like in Dorothy and Wizard of Oz, how the witch would send out the winged monkey. Her little flying friend, Gail King, goes on the CBS Morning News and starts telling a story. It's a chat show. It's not like news. She didn't do this like in other news. Oprah was rushed to a hospital. No, she did it like this. She said, oh, I just want to send get well out to my good friend Oprah. Oh, she was struck with something in her stomach. Oh, she got so sick last night. Oh, Oprah, she went to the hospital and everything. She's back home. She's rested. She's fine. Oprah that's how it was. It was like Gail King. The story became a story because Gail King was providing camouflage for Oprah because she ducked out of something she was supposed to go to last night. But You take a little bit of all of that story and you splash it in a headline, and it makes it sound like Oprah was rushed to the hospital. Oprah's fine. That's what I'm saying. Although that's just my take. Let's see how it's actually being reported. That's what you want with this. You get a rant. You get my take. That's what I think this is. Simply because of how the source of the story is Gayle King on the CBS Morning News. That's all I need to know. It's not a real story then when her best friend, and it's done conversationally. Like she revealed this conversation like, oh, and before I forget, or whatever. I don't know. Oprah Winfrey is recovering after being admitted to a hospital for a very serious stomach problems, although she is believed to be home resting well now. Gayle King shared details about her good friend's emergency during the Tuesday, June 11th episode of CBS's morning show. Gayle says she had some kind of a, stomach flu where stuff was coming out of both ends. I won't get too graphic, but needless to say, she ended up in the hospital. She's a little dehydrated. She had an IV. So it was a very serious thing. That doesn't sound serious at all. That doesn't sound serious at all. She'll be okay. She's fine. And then King added, I hope she's not mad at me for sharing the details. This is not a story. This is Gayle King providing cover. So anybody that's like, can you believe Oprah didn't show last night? They'll now see the headlines today. No, she must have really been ill. No, she wasn't. She's Oprah. She controls the narrative like a queen bee, like she's been doing for 40 years. Don't sleep on Oprah. Let's see here. Ozempic. Ozempic is in the news today. When is Ozempic not in the news? You know what else? What's the other one? Margiano. Isn't that the other one? There's Ozempic and then there's Margiano, which I think is really a cruel fucking name for a diet pill. Margiano sounds like something you'd order. I'd like the baked Margiano, right? Doesn't that sound like something that's amazing at an Italian restaurant and really not diet food? So whatever. So Ozempic, that sounds a little bit more. That's the diet pill. Anyway, here, let's see here. There's some big scary news about Ozempic. You Ozempic people. You Ozempic people. You make me say, not all of you. Not all of you. Not all of you. If you're an Ozempic person and you were fine and you took the vax, and now you're taking Ozempic, that's fine. That's fine. You trust science and, you had conversations with your doctors and you felt good about whatever. You're fine. But if you're taking Ozempic and you didn't take the vax because Aaron Rodgers did some fucking research for you, are you out of your mind? You hypocrites. You fuck you. I love you. Don't get me wrong. But fuck you. You hypocrites. They didn't do enough research on the vax. There could be anything in there. Oh, but the fat guy pill or the fat guy shot. Back me up. Get out of here, you. Jesus. See, I won't take Ozempic because I understand the history of diet drugs. The history of diet drugs. Do you know what used to be diet drugs? It used to be just your doctor would give you these. Your doctor would give you this. And he'd be like, you're going to lose some weight. Methamphetamine, ladies and gentlemen. Methamphetamine, what we now call methamphetamine, was the primary diet drug that everybody trying to lose weight took in the 1970s and 80s. So don't give me with this Ozempic. Here's what science understands. Science is driven by commerce. Science will work extra hard at perfecting something if they know that there's money at the end of their invention. And guess what there's money at the end of? Well, there's money at the end of the invention of a pill that will make you lose weight easily. So that's what Ozempic is. If you think all the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed before they started shipping Ozempic out to your local doctor, your local nutritionist, or you think that's the case, but you don't think it was the case with the virus, with the whole vax thing, you're nuts, man. You have no intellectual consistency whatsoever. That there was no money to be made in giving everyone on the planet free vax. Oh no, I know that there was mind control. You got to mind control everybody. Oh, shut up. Stop it. There's a lot of money to be made if people think all they need is a shot to lose weight. That's what Ozempic is. And if you choose to take Ozempic, good for you. That's fine. A lot of people are constantly seeking out ways to get themselves healthy. And if this is a way and you've looked into it and you've talked to your doctor and you're comfortable with it, good for you. I'm not hateful on Ozempic. But if you take an Ozempic and you didn't get the vax for a whole bunch of like, now you're a microbiologist type reasons, you're nuts. You are nuts. You have no credibility. The Ozempic effect. Magic pill is what they're calling it. Johann Hardy's study on the rise of diet drugs sheds light on our deeply dysfunctional food culture. Hold on. There's a stat in here. There's the whole reason for this story. It's a story about Ozempic. What is it? Something like 2/3. All right. Screw it. You know what? I ranted on Ozempic. I feel like it doesn't matter. The story's about how everybody's on Ozempic. And how, if you read the story, and how everybody's on Ozempic, and this may explain why in 200 years everybody's got a dorsal fin. Because they really don't know. For the reasons that I just said. Magic pill. Fatty will give money to have magic pill so they can still eat cookie. That's what it is. Science just fucking shoved this into your fucking doctor's office and you people were like, yeah, give me more. Ozempic. I got a friend who's on it. Looks fantastic. He looks great. He's lost like 150 pounds. He looks amazing. I'm being honest. Maybe if I just met him today, I would be like, he looks amazing. He's maybe if that's all. But I knew him when he was 150 pounds bigger. So, when I see him now, I say, you look amazing, because that's the program thing that we're supposed to say. But the reality is, I'm like, you look different. You don't look like the same big, hearty, guy I used to know. You look different. I don't know if it's better, and I might be biased. I shouldn't be the person to ask if you look better or not, because I have the original. It's different. You're going to have to let me get used to it. Pink slime. Pink slime is in the news. You know what pink slime news is? Pink slime. I like the phrase pink slime. It's just another way of saying fake news. We used to say fake news, but I guess the term fake news has been sort of absconded by one political ideology. So now, just in non-political conversation, when you're talking about uncredible or discreditable news sources that people cite, it's known in journalistic circles as pink slime. Yeah, pink slime, of course, is that ground beef derivative, we'll call, that they have at the grocery store, and it comes in a tube. Normal ground beef is on like a styrofoam plate with some shrink wrap around it. That's normal ground beef. But then you can get the stuff in the tube, the pre-packed. That's pink slime. Okay, so that's what this kind of news is. News is known as pink slime. For the first time ever, pink slime news and their presence on social media, and their being used, their distribution is greater than legitimate media. Greater than, there is more made up, phony partisan news out there circulating than there is regular, real news media. Partisan websites masquerading as media outlets now outnumber American news sites, a research group that tracks misinformation said Tuesday. Hundreds of sites that mimic news outlets, many of them powered by artificial intelligence, have cropped up in recent months, fueling an explosion of polarizing and false narratives that are stoking alarm as the race for White House intensifies. All right, there you go. Be careful of the fake news. It's a lot of them. Let's see here. Pope Frank. Here's another fun one. Pope Frank. So we talked about Pope Francis. He's the Pope over there. Remember I told you last week he got himself in trouble because he was talking to a bunch of young priests, and he said, hey, I don't want no more faggotiness. That's what he said. He said it in French. He said it in Italian, or maybe even Spanish. I don't know what he speaks casually. But he said it in different language, but it translates to, I don't want any more faggotiness. There's enough faggotiness in the church, right? And so it leaked out that he said that, and the world went, he shouldn't say mean words. And so he had to apologize. So Pope Frank's, he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm an old man. It's a fun word, and it is. It's a fun word. I think that's a fun word. I'm an advocate for bringing that word back. That and the C word. I think that, my gay friends, they say it all the time, and I want to say it, and I don't understand. I get why I don't say the N word, but I don't get why I can't say the F word. I want to say it. Anyway, so he did that last week, and he was like, I'm sorry. It's a fun word to say. I said it a faggotness. So he said that, and he apologized, and everybody's like, oh, he's such a cute old man. Isn't he great? He apologized. Yeah, he said it again. Yeah, he said it again. Yesterday, apparently. Talking to another group. He said the exact same goddamn thing. He said, I'll tell you something. There's too much of faggotedness into the church. Shit. Said the same thing. Like he forgot. Look, we're seeing this with both our presidential candidates and our president. Old dudes, man, they forget. You got any old dudes in your life? You got any old dudes that you hang out with? I mean, they're great. I've got a number of old dudes that I hang out with. Older dudes, not old dudes, but older dudes. Dudes 20 years older than me. And one of the things that some of them have in common is that they'll tell you the same cool story, over and over again. And you just listen to it, and you're like, yeah, well, cool. And sometimes early in the storytelling, you're like, yeah, you told me this. And then you realize they just want to tell the story. Let them tell the story. And they tell the story and you laugh or whatever it is. That's kind of what I think what's going on with, Biden. We see it with Biden where he's like, hey, champ, and he's totally in a different world. And we're seeing it. Pope Frank. Popes, we expect it, though. Like, this is how we like our Pope. We don't want it young, but we don't want a sexy Pope. We don't want a Pope who chicks are going to be like, the Pope is kind of hot. We don't want that. We want like an old, frail Yoda. We need a Yoda, right? The Pope's got to be a little bit like Yoda, or maybe Yoda mixed with a little bit of Gandalf, right? That's what we're looking for. Sort of a Yoda Gandalf mashup from our Pope. Anyway, the Pope said it again. Let's see where this one comes from. Hold on. I'll give you the exact context. He forgot. He forgot that he wasn't supposed to say it because he's 140. He forgot. Yeah, and he's going to apologize again. And he's going to mean it. And he's going to forget. He's going to forget again. Because he's 162. Pope Francis repeats gay slur just a week after being forced to apologize for saying there was an air of faggotry in the church. All right, that's what he said. Let's see here. The Pope has again used a homophobic term after apologizing last week for saying gay men should not be admitted to church seminaries because there's already too much faggotry. All right, here's a little bit more context. I mean, it shouldn't change. It doesn't change my opinion of the whole situation. So I guess the fuller context we're getting now is that there's already too much. He used the word fragacciniane. Fragacciniane is the word he used. Fragaccinane, which is a vulgar Italian term, roughly translating as faggotiness. All right. So according to Italian news agency, he repeated the term again on Tuesday as he met with Roman priests, saying that there is an air of faggotiness, or as he said, let's get it right, in the air at the Vatican. He forgot. He's an old man. He's an old man. He's not a hateful guy. He seems like a very lovely, gentle soul who uses the word faggotedness, which, gotta be honest, I don't think that's really a great condemnation. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Pope. Reds fan. This is a good one. So a Reds fan ran out on the field yesterday. This one ended differently than This doesn't happen quite as much as I think it used to happen in the 1970s, and I don't know why that is. But it used to be where people would just run out on the field and, do all kinds, and then they get chased, and then they'd get arrested, and they'd get let off in handcuffs, and that was it. Um, and then there was like we had like Morgana, the kissing bandit. She was like this big boobed lady who was a self promoter who just went around to all the big sports. She would trespass and run out onto the field and then just like kiss people during big moments. It was almost encouraged. It was like streakers in the 1970s, streakers. But now it's different. Now we live in an age where, like, we don't know what kind of nutbag's going to be out there doing whatever. So we got to end these very quickly. And I have never seen this before. Okay, so this is yesterday at the Cincinnati Reds game. This is some Yahoo, some idiot. He runs out onto the field. He does a backflip. Oh, he's loving it. He's like, I'm doing it. I'm the craziest guy in my crew of bros. They're going to be telling stories about the time I did that. And that's what he's thinking. And he's having so much fun. Then he gets tased. I've never seen them tase one of these people before. I mean, I've seen them tackle them and chase them around and chase them off the field or whatever, but I've never seen them actually use, and it's not lethal force, but I've never actually seen them use force like this. So here we go. Last night, Cincinnati Reds game. Boom. Well, holy shit, right. One last time. All right. And down he goes. All right. Quite a guy. He knew he was going to do that backflip. Like, that was part of the plan. I was like, yeah. And then if I could just get a little distance, then at some point I'll do a backflip. And you watch, dude, I'm going to stick that backflip. Hell, that might have been the beginnings of this whole thing. I could do a backflip right there in mid-center field. Who knows? Who knows how it started? But that's how it ended. We saw how it ended. So let me talk to all you little leaguers out there. And by little leaguers, I mean people who are future hooligans who think it may be in the cards for them to run out and try something like that in the future. I have never done it at one of those kinds of things, but I am the guy who jumped over a fence and cannonballed into Elvis's swimming pool at Graceland while there were festivities occurring for the 20th anniversary of his death. That was me. So I am no stranger to having security chase you around and, trespass you and all that stuff. Don't do that anymore. Like I said, I did it in 1996 or 1997, maybe. I'm not sure. I did it at a time when we figured the worst that was going to happen is I might take a little beating, but that's okay. I could take a beating. It would be a good joke. They would talk about it on the radio. It's my career. It might make my name. So I was willing to, lose a tooth or a black eye or something. I figured, as I was told, you don't F with the king in Memphis. That was not, and I was decidedly effing with the king. But it ain't like it is now, man. We got crazies. I know that you're cuckoo crazy, dude, and you just had one too many beers and you're out there with your frat buddies and it's summer and you guys are partying and you're going to go out bar hopping after this and the night's young and all that. And look at you, you're going to go nuts. I know that that's all that's going on in your head, but see, it's 2024. And we've seen all kinds of crazy shit, man. I know you're probably just 22 years old or something, but some of us older folks, we've seen some really bad shit in the last few years, and we don't know what your game is. We don't know if you've got a bomb strapped to you. We don't know if you've got a knife and you're going to try and kill our $100 million center fielder. We don't know what the hell is going on with you. So these days, lethal force is very much on the table. At the biggest games, it's always reported how they have snipers, especially if, they can always camouflage that with if the president's there, but don't think that they wouldn't use that, for any other thing. And who knows? Well, that idiot got himself tased, and he is lucky that is all that happened to him. In 2024, you're running out onto a field. Are you nuts? In this political climate, get out of here. We won't tolerate it the way we once did. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not throw them in the drunk tank and let them sleep it off. It ain't that anymore. It's like, did this guy just drop a manifesto on Facebook and now he's running around the center field at the Reds game? I mean, that's the kind of shit we have to contemplate now. So that was pretty cool, though. Got to see him get dropped. Boom. I'm fairly certain that guy meant no harm, but you can never be too careful. Let's talk about trigger warnings. Oh, my God. Trigger warnings. You know what trigger warnings are? Trigger warnings are something that Hollywood has adopted these past few years. It started out, they used to be, there was no warning for nothing. Look, if something specifically and deliberately disturbing was going to occur with what we were watching, this is when I'm growing up. If that was a thing, then before and after all commercial breaks, it would be like, they would say like, the following program contains, they would just give us a warning. But now every TV show has to have, so warning, smoking. People are going to be smoking in this. Hope you can handle it. Hey, I just want to give you a heads up. There will be people smoking. And then they have all of these different slight nudity. What do you mean slight nudity? This is ABC. There should be no nudity. What do you mean? Anyway, Hollywood has expanded the trigger warnings. If you remember, it used to just be TVMA or whatever. Now it's like TVMA, nudity. But now it's everything. And guess what's coming? Even more specific trigger warnings. Warning, they're going to be mean to a gay person. Oh, okay. What about being triggered by trigger warnings? I mean, the warning itself is designed to coddle somebody so fragile that they cannot watch the depiction of a homosexual possibly going through something rough. Humans go through rough stuff. We don't even know that this is going to be deliberately attached to the fact that they are a homosexual. Who knows? But that's what the story is about. Trigger warnings and how they're going to become more and more prevalent, how Hollywood is behind them, and where and at what point do they cross over to ruining the plot, which is a real problem with some of these. Do trigger warnings need spoiler alerts? As content advisories become more and more popular, Hollywood tries to find a balance between ruining plot twists and helping viewers avoid trauma. You're watching your favorite show, and one of the main characters is in a jam. He's held captive by mercenaries, and for the past 2 episodes has struggled to escape a labyrinthian prison. It's unclear whether our hero will live or die. But the next episode opens with a warning. Warning, the following contains a depiction of suicide. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, you think, I guess I know what he does. Anyway, that seems to be a bit of an over-exaggeration of the problem, but it is a good example of how, here's what I'm ranting about. And by the way, I rant because I truly don't care. If I can muster up to be this silly in a rant about something, just trust that in my real life, when I'm doing my bills, I really don't care about this issue. But here's why some people might. It's another one. It's more virtue signaling. That's all. It's just more of coddling. I used coddling earlier. I said, it's like we are coddling the most fragile among us who cannot handle the plot twists of a story. Shakespeare didn't have, these kinds of trigger warnings. Have some respect for your audience. How about this? I want to create stuff, and this is the level of respect that I have for the audience, my intended audience. I want to create stuff that they're just going to be blown away by because they never see what's coming next, and it's going to challenge them, and it's going to be great. You know what people who enjoy that kind of content don't need? Trigger warnings. They don't need to be told that depictions of homosexuality or whatever. They wouldn't even have that. They would not have that. They wouldn't consider somebody's feelings. Somebody who doesn't want to see homosexuality would never be warned that there's going to be homosexuality. Oh, wow, that's weird. Look at where we are. So let's say like your bigot grandma. And I know, why are we worried about bigots? Because we worry about all people. That's why, because this is a democracy. And even bigots, no matter how much we disagree with them, have a right to be heard. And they have a right to lose in popular votes. But they have a right to be heard. So imagine there's a show with like two gay guys and your aunt down there in Alabama. She sees it and she's like really upset by that because she doesn't like that kind of thing. Would there be a warning that says, hey, in case you hate homosexuals, there's going to be some homosexual? No, I don't think Hollywood would do that. And I think that's what bothers people, that they seem to only be catering to and coddling people who are, on the far left, who could be so snowflakey and so offended by things like depictions of rape or, man, that's depictions of rape. You can't do I will boycott that because there's depictions of that's like, rape is a terrible thing, but there are all sorts of terrible things that life presents us that we've seen in movies and films and plays going back a millennia. Plot device. But like I said, I don't really give a shit. Thank you. I don't really care. Whatever. It's like the first 3 seconds, right? But it's just another card. When you click play on something and it plays, you get 10 of these cards. There's 10 production companies and they all get their logo. There's 10 of them. And then for a second, there's warning, but it'll tell you all the stuff. I always think the smoking one is funny. That's the one that really bothers me. Depictions of smoking. You're worried about the feelings of somebody who could get all twisted over somebody smoking. What the fuck, man? What are we doing? Why are we even giving that person 1 minute of our time? A person who might be upset because they see someone smoking a cigarette on TV is getting a warning, a trigger warning. My God. Why? But fuck your aunt in Alabama who wants a heads up before she sees 2 dudes start making out. Nah, she doesn't get the trigger warning. See, that's the problem. This rife inequity. It's like, you got to be concerned about the grandma who doesn't want to see the gay people. You got to give her at least some of your attention. She's an American too. But nobody should feel that way. I agree. And hopefully in maybe 100, 200 years, we'll get to the point where nobody feels that way. But we're still in this transitional era of human evolution here in America. And right now, there are people who feel differently than you on this, and we have to live amongst them. Unless what you're advocating for is some sort of totalitarian solution to the problem where we just kill them all. So, this is the problem. Everybody needs to stop being at war. Okay. We need to care just as much about, your racist aunt in Alabama and her not wanting to see 2 gays make out on her TV screen during her stories. We got to pretend to have just as much concern for her as we do for the person who gets upset when they see someone smoking a cigarette on TV. That's all I'm saying. Just a little bit of equity in our concern. Our faux concern, because let's be honest, nobody fucking really cares about any of this. This is all just, again, virtue signaling. It's all just so that we can say that we did stuff that we thought was in the best interest. Oh, fuck you. Let's see here. Who else? What do we got here? Okay, that was that the Reds fan story? No, that was the trigger warning story. There we go. Here's something that absolutely sucks. Team USA. We've been following the Caitlin Clark story. Caitlin Clark, the most famous female basketball player since God invented the game of basketball, and he did. Caitlin Clark was left off the United States women's national team. She ain't going to the Olympics, and let's just be honest, everybody's like, huh? And I said, it's not over. There's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way that an entity that has billions of dollars invested in these Olympic Games, there's no way that they're just going to sit and let some woman in Colorado Springs at USA Women's Basketball flushed the toilets on this marketing opportunity. So now that hasn't happened. But you know what has? And this is one of the first steps. Remember, I predicted it. I said, I don't know who this woman is, but I predicted she would step down, right? Remember, I said that. I go, she will step down. She will be gone. Caitlin Clark will be on the team, right? We've got 6, 7, 8 weeks. More than that, I think, maybe. Anyway, whatever. We got time. So the first step in that is we're going to have to find out who this woman is. She has come out of the shadows. It's not that she was hiding. I mean, she, in the universe of women's basketball, she was known, but she's about to be famous. Well, she is. I guess she is famous now. The first thing that happens here is she gets flushed out because everybody else who's with women's basketball, they don't want to take any shit. And there are questions from the media. So instead of, and in most cases, if she was secure in her position, she would have a spokesperson. A spokesperson would give statements and all that because she is secure in her position. But it appears when you go out on your own, when you're forced as the titular head, you don't have the insulation. That means to me that there's a problem with them among your ranks. There are people that do not want to go out and make apologies for this because maybe not everybody agreed with this decision. So here she is. The woman who made the decision, what is her name? Her name is Jen. There it is. Jen Rizzotti. Jen Rizzotti. And has she come out today and announced that Caitlin Clark will be on the team? Of course not. Of course not. That's not what hyper competitors do. And apparently she's a hyper competitor. She played for the University of Connecticut. She won herself a national title. She played in the WNBA. She is one of the most legendary players in the history of women's basketball in America. And none of us know her name. No, we don't know who she is. We know she is now. You know why? Because she got angry at Caitlin Clark. Because she doesn't like that Caitlin Clark just walks through the door and suddenly becomes the most. She is Jen Rizzotti. For crying out loud. Who is this punk Caitlin? Well, she's the NCAA's #1 scorer in all basketball across both male and female. That's who she is, Jen Rizzotti. And I know that up until now, you have been like super important here in the world of women's basketball. I mean, look at you. You're the chairman of the women's national team. It doesn't get the biggest stars in the WNBA kiss your ass. They all love you because you're in charge of the team that goes to the Olympics. But here's the thing. Never before in the history of the women's Olympic team has there been a slam dunk, can't miss, must have, bigger than life superstar of the sport. And they have it now, and that's Caitlin Clark. And I think it's this Jen. It's been my contention from the very beginning that it's this Jen Rizzotti who resents this kind of attention being given to her. She hasn't earned anything. I played 13 years in this league in unair-conditioned gyms in the middle of Pennsylvania, you know, one of those bullshit things. And you're telling me she's making $1 million from Hardee's alone? You know, I think that's what's going on here. So anyway, they flushed her out. Jen Rizzotti, she's talking, and guess what? She's doubling down. She's saying she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't deserve it. And there was a number of other players that I had to call and tell that they wouldn't be on the team. And I'd be lying if I told you that Caitlin was the hardest. She's saying that Caitlin isn't even next. Like if one seat opened up, she's saying that Caitlin wouldn't even be next. Oh, fuck this woman. This woman is an asshole. U.S. basketball is firm on its decision to not include Caitlin Clark on the women's national team. The organization officially announced the roster Tuesday, confirming reports over the weekend that Clark will not be part of its quest for an 8th consecutive gold medal. Like other storylines involving Clark since the beginning of the WNBA season, it's proven to be a divisive issue. Let's see here. Many believe that Clark's role as the sport's most popular woman player should have warranted her inclusion. Yeah, count me among the many. Speaking to the Associated Press, USA Basketball Selection Committee Chair, Jen Rizzotti, she said it would have been irresponsible to take into account Clark's popularity when considering her for a roster. Oh, shut up. No, it wouldn't. You know what it would have? It would have ensured a lot of money in future years for USA women's basketball. Have you any idea of the advertisers that suddenly would be showing up and you'd be taking out to lunches and stuff like that and be having. All I'm saying is money, honey. Her very association with United States women's basketball is going to bring not only money for women's basketball, but every individual player will then see their profile. It's good for the game. My God, how can you not see it? Well, here's the thing. It's not that Jen Rizzotti doesn't see it. She sees it. This is just her ego. This is just her ego. That's all this is. Powerful people, people in positions of supreme power. And I bet she thinks that she is pretty settled in on that perch there. Maybe she's been there. I don't know. I think she's been there since 2012. She's been there a long time. She's been the queen poobah of women's basketball. She is not going to budge. This is ego. That girl needs to be on this team. For the good of the sport, for the good of the country. Come on, man. What? I can tell you what other storylines are there in the Olympics. In previous Olympic years, we're only like a month or so away from this thing. In previous Olympic years, there were marketing campaigns started way earlier in the year. We knew who the storylines were because they were doing Burger King commercials and Nike commercials and, car commercials. What are the fucking storylines for this Olympics? You know what it would have been? The can't miss one would have been Caitlin Clark. It would have been, but it ain't. Because say her name, Jen Rizzotti. Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey went on. Kevin Spacey, here, we'll just watch this. We'll watch the very beginning of it. Kevin Spacey went on Piers Morgan there in England. I don't know if does Kevin Spacey think he's English now? Is that his thing? Did he stay there? Because I remember he moved there and then he got in trouble for raping a bunch of people there, but then he didn't rape them because the courts were like, hey, we agree with all the American courts. You didn't rape anybody. And again, the other thing, this is the other thing that I always like to point out about Kevin Spacey. He was acquitted on all charges, jurisdiction, filed against him. Even one for civil charges. Okay. One of my great motivators when you hear about, charges of sexual assault, one of the things that makes me believe one side or the other is always the dynamic of power. Where is the power in this? Okay. And ultimately, when it comes down to someone being physically assaulted, that power is as caveman-y as you'd expect. It's about who's stronger, who could do that. So whenever I see a girl, she says, yeah, he held me down. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can see it. All of these people who accused Kevin Spacey of stuff were like, Green Berets and Marines and, teenage boys with like six packs and athletic frames. My point is this. Kevin Spacey wasn't raping any of these people. Maybe the skinny kid, the first one in New York, who's that kid, Anthony, whatever. He also in Dazed and Confused. Anthony Rapp, I think. Maybe, yeah, okay, that one could be trouble. But all the other ones were like, you'd kick Kevin Spacey's. If Kevin Spacey touched your dick and you didn't like it, why didn't you kick his ass? Because you could kick Kevin Spacey's ass. You're a stunt man. You're like a former MMA fighter, and you were in Fallujah. I'm talking about the Kevin Spacey bio. I don't know if you saw that. It's on Max now. Spacey. It lines up all of these accusers, all these people who are like, yeah, I went out with Kevin. He tried to touch my dick. It was all of these guys. And they're all like big, yoked up, muscle dudes. And it's like, yeah, no, they were never in any danger with Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey's a weirdo, and he's probably a dick, and he seems really pretentious and all that kind of stuff. But, I don't think he is a true sexual deviant the way that maybe we were all led to believe for the past couple of years. Anyway, he's doing a bit of a reclamation, trying to build his character back into something that's, I don't know, palatable on maybe TV. I mean, when you go back to TV, I got to be honest with you. Kevin Spacey's amazing. Let's separate the art from the artist. Kevin Spacey's a great actor. Easily one of my favorite actors. He's tremendous. House of Cards. I loved House of Cards. He was great. But not only that, Usual Suspects. Oh my God. American Beauty. Oh God, Swimming with Sharks. He made a movie called Swimming with Sharks in the Midnight. Kevin Spacey is terrific in everything. And I'll see whatever if Kevin Spacey wants to come back and start doing movies. I hope he gets good parts because he's terrific in them. Anyway, this is Kevin Spacey. He went on Piers Morgan. He had a whole bunch to say. We're not going to play the whole thing, but here's what we will play. We're going to play the very beginning, okay? Play the beginning because they do like a montage of all the stuff that he gets into. If you want to see this interview, I watched a good half hour of it this morning, and it's pretty good. It's pretty compelling. But if you want to see this interview in its entirety, you can just look for it on YouTube. It's very available. But here, I'll play you the beginning montage of what this interview covers.
In Hollywood, suddenly you're facing a trial where someone may take your liberty away for years. And how does that feel?
My goal is now to prove that I'm a man of good character.
How supportive was your co-star?
I haven't heard from Robin.
She stabbed you in the back.
No, I will not let you get away with that.
But you're Kevin Spacey, powerful man, a famous man, a double Oscar winner, is using all that to seduce someone. Do you accept that?
I can understand that perspective. Right? Pushing the boundaries, being too handsy.
Some people would say that that is criminal. Prince Andrew, the scandal. Famously, it was reported that you and Ghislaine Maxwell were invited to the throne room.
This Maxwell woman, I have no relationship with her. I had no relationship with him. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy.
There were young girls on those flights?
There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
You think you would have taken your life?
I can't pay the bills that I owe.
How much money do you have?
None.
Oh my God. Oh, he is destitute. Yeah, except that suit. That suit's probably worth more than everything that I own. Rich guys like that. What is it? How much money do you have? None. He doesn't have none. That means he's got like, I don't know, he's probably got access to about 10 grand. Everything else is tied up and, you know, none. I got none, Kevin Spacey. Can you take that? Can you take like a Uber home from the studio and not worry about when you get there whether or not the funds are going to go through? You're fine, Spacey. Kevin Spacey. There's always going to be a way to make money as Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey right now could do a podcast. You want to know how unbroke he is? Here you go. This is how unbroke Kevin Spacey is. Kevin Spacey could announce today that he's going to do a podcast. He can do it every day. Hell, he could take over this show. And you know what would come with Kevin Spacey? Shit tons of advertising money. You know why? Because people would tune in for that. They'll listen to whatever the fuck Kevin Spacey. He ain't broke. You're not the Kevin Spacey of 2010. That's what you're not. That's what you want back. Stop your complaining. You tried to touch a bunch of dicks. That's what he did. He was a groper. He was, like he said in that thing, I'm a little handsy. Everybody's got the same thing. Yeah, you grab my dick. That's what he does. Dude lost everything because he's a gay man who just grabbed a bunch of dicks. Lost everything for that. Well, here's why I don't feel terribly upset about it. Because Kevin Spacey, before all of this was done, Kevin Spacey was known as two things. One, a consummate professional, an absolute guy that you could depend on to just, if you needed him to carry an entire scene, he could do it. But he could also rally troops and get the most out of all the other actors on the stage. Kevin Spacey was absolutely beloved for his professionalism. The other thing we know about Kevin Spacey is that he's a huge dick, huge jerk. He was pretentious. He was mean to people. He was very, well, you know, when you're that guy, you can always write that off. Like he'd been like an Entertainment Tonight or something. They'd be like, people say you're difficult. You know, and a guy like that could always go, well, I'm just a perfectionist. No, jerk. You're a jerk is what you are. Call yourself a perfectionist because that makes it look like the victims of your jerkiness are somehow not to your level. Fuck off, dude. You're a jerk. All right. This is going to be the last one of the day here. This is a very sad one. Well, it's not very sad. What am I doing? What am I pretending? It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. But he was old. An old, but he was old. I was never a fan. Like he played before my time, so I didn't remember. He's more of a legend. He's more of a legendary character, I guess, in my life as a sports fan. Jerry West. Jerry West has passed away. Who's Jerry West? Jerry West. Can't talk about the most iconic players in the history of the NBA without talking about Jerry West. I don't care who you want to try and, what do you mean you can't talk about you? If you are talking about iconic NBA players, Jerry West must be in the top 3 people that you mentioned. Just if you're talking about iconic NBA players, he's the logo, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get any more iconic than that. The logo of the NBA logo is that silhouette of that basketball player doing a crossover. It looks like a crossover, isn't that what it is? That's Jerry West. That's Jerry West, the logo, as his nickname has been ever since that. Jerry West was an incredible basketball player for the Los Angeles Lakers back in the 1960s, 1970s, one of the best in the league. Would go on to have a very storied career as the general manager and the architect of many, many Los Angeles Laker world championships, the Showtime Lakers, all the way through the 1990s and into the Phil Jackson era as well. West was integral there with the Los Angeles Lakers. Here's what I like about Jerry West. I like Jerry West the way he was portrayed on HBO's Winning Time. Did you guys see Winning Time? Winning Time was the HBO miniseries. Miniseries. I think it turned out to be 2 seasons, but it was basically the story of the Showtime Los Angeles Lakers back in the 80s with the Laker girls and Magic Johnson and all of that, Pat Riley and the slick back hair and the parties and Magic getting HIV, all of that stuff, and a whole bunch of NBA titles mixed in there too. So that's what Winning Time was about. It was very good. It's very good. Obviously, Jerry West was depicted. What's going on, dog? I don't need that kind of noise when we're trying to memorialize the great logo, Jerry West. I'm talking to my dog. Come here. Come here. I'll tell you about Jerry West. Come on. We can watch this. Hi. Hey. Right. Well, hold on. Yeah, we'll be able to watch this. All right, move. Don't lick you've been licking butt all day. I don't need you licking me. Okay. You want to try and sit there? That's not advised. You sitting there is not advised. All right, here. This is Jerry West from Winning Time. Now, he was very unhappy with his portrayal on Winning Time, the real Jerry West, because they made him out to be just the saltiest hard ass of all time. Here it is, the great Jerry West, how he'll be remembered from HBO's Winning Time.
I have one question. Who's it gonna be?
Me? Oh, fuck no. No, it's a big fucking NO. Hell no. No.
Jerry?
No, I ain't fucking doing it, Bill, you motherfucker. Come on, I got a whole fucking brigade of men, qualified men who want the fucking job.
Jerry, we've been down that road before. Hell, I've been down them all right? They get shot, they fall off their fucking bikes, they choke in the first round, and they all lead back to you. Now, I'm not religious, but I think God might be trying to tell you something.
God ain't my fucking friend, okay? No.
Think of the team, Jerry.
Can't hear you, Bill.
We're in the middle of the season. We need continuity here.
Jerry, how are you going to feel watching the Celtics steal another trophy?
You are a mean motherfucker. That's a low blow.
Well, that's where this is headed. And you know it. Now we can get this monkey off our back once and for all. Your team needs you.
Oh, please, no, don't do that.
I need you. Jerry, I'm fucking begging you. And I'm not asking for forever, by the way, but we have a game tomorrow. And your Los Angeles Lakers need a fucking coach.
There you have it. The great Jerry West. Clark on HBO Max or what do we call it? HBO. What is it? I don't know what to call it. I have no idea. Anyway, Jerry West, he died today. This morning, it was announced at the age of 86 years old. The NBA logo, one of his greatest quotes attributed to Jerry West. You have to understand, Jerry West hated nobody. Nobody hated. Here, look at this. He died today. Let's win one. Nobody hated the Boston Celtics more than Jerry West. Jerry West, absolutely. Well, we saw it in that clip. Where they referenced the Celtics as, do you want to hand Boston another title? And then he was like, that's low. Don't go there. He absolutely despised the Boston Celtics. They ran over him and the LA Lakers back in the 60s and 70s, his entire career, deprived him of actually ever winning an NBA title. He played in a whole bunch of them, and the Boston Celtics were the team that ruined his life. He hated Boston. Anyway, one of my favorite quotes from Jerry West was, he said this about Boston: Paul Revere should have slept in and let the British burn this fuckhole of a town to the ground. One of the great sports characters of all time, Jerry West, the logo, NBA Lakers. Smooth guy too, like a smooth guy. Like if you remember, like back in the 90s, I don't know if you remember, 80s, 90s, whatever it was, back when they were really Showtime Lakers. Back in the Pat Riley days, when Pat Riley was wearing a suit and had the slick back hair and just looked like $1 million, changed the whole vibe of the NBA. The NBA before that, you kids, maybe you don't remember, it's just a bunch of dumpy old middle-aged fat men in sweatpants. Then suddenly Pat Riley, now everybody's wearing $10,000 suits. But Jerry West, back in those days when he was, walking the sidelines as the general manager of those Lakers, he always looked like $1 million too. He always looked like just the quintessential LA sports executive of the 1980s. Jerry West left the world at 86. He didn't like the way he was portrayed on Winning Time. He didn't like that. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. I think we are out of stuff today. I don't see anything else here. Let me quickly see if maybe something that I might have missed, any kind of new piece of news that I need to mention. I don't see it. All right. Once again, a big thank you to today's executive producer. The executive producer of the show is the person who tips the most the day before. Today's executive producer was Terry S. Thank you so much, Terry S. You're the best. So thank you. And if you want to be tomorrow's, boom, there you go. Your opportunity. Drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. And if you are today's big tipper, you will be the executive producer of the day. Okay. That's going to do it. It's a lovely day. The dog wants to go for a walk. We've got a Mavs game tonight. How you feeling? I don't feel great. I feel a little. Hey, I'm talking about how I feel about the Mavericks. The dog is really, she's like grunting now. She's like, bleh. And I know she doesn't have to, number two, because that's what you worry about. Actually, that's not true. Can we have a real talk here? Anybody with dogs? Can we have a real talk? All right, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right now. Maybe you agree. Maybe you don't agree. I've had a lot of dogs in my life. Hold on. I would much rather the dog take a shit in the house than take a piss in the house. Oh, I know. I feel like I can get the shit. I can get the shit out. The shit can leave very little. That piss on the carpet, I'm going to be for days. It doesn't matter how much disinfectant I use. I'm going to be, it still smells like piss. I can still smell the piss. I would rather the dog. I'm just saying. I don't know. I know that's. Bye, Pugs. There's Terry. Executive producer of the day, Terry. Trying to think, what did I do last night? I did a whole bunch of writing on something. I've got a little side project I'm doing. Fell into a YouTube hole last night. I just watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos. You guys know this guy? You guys ever watch this guy, Rick Beato? It's a Rick and then Beato. Rick Beato. He's a music guy. I like him. I love, here's what I love about people who do YouTube stuff. I like when I find somebody who's just got really cool, decent guy energy, you know? And here's another thing. Here's what I appreciate. Everybody's positive. Like, for the most part, unlike, say, Twitter handles or people's posts on Facebook, a lot of the people who are the most successful streaming are positive. They're like positive people. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. Oh, like give me a random song from the 80s. Dead or Alive, Bon Jovi. Okay, I have no idea why it took me that long to just come up with one song. Dead or Alive, Bon Jovi. Let's say you go on YouTube and you put in, I like Dead or Alive. I want to hear Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. So you put in Dead or Alive and you search, and it comes up, you know, somebody's doing a review of the song Dead or Alive. Now, if you like that song Dead or Alive, that's probably why you've searched it. Because if you don't like the song, you're probably not wasting your time. So you're already on team Dead or Alive. So when you get to those search results and you find the person, you know, 15-year-old hears Bon Jovi's Dead or Alive for the first time, you might click on that. And what I appreciate about this universe that I've just described is that it's almost always positive. Like, the chances are, if you're a fan of that song to begin with and you click on a 15-year-old who's reviewing the song, theoretically having heard it for the first time, and you're clicking on that, I'm telling you, chances are that 15-year-old is going to love that song. It's going to love that song. Why? Because that's the payoff for you, the person who clicked on it. Oh my God, there's so much going on. But I do like that aspect of it. And Rick Beato is somebody who I've liked for a while because he just talks about music. First of all, he's a really smart music guy. He's a studio guy. And he's a little bit older, so he's like, for me, he's kind of like a big brother. But he talks a lot about. I mean, he seems to like everything equally. He seems to, you know, he'll talk about. Yeah, I mean, he's really good when he's talking about, you know, older stuff like 70s, 80s rock and stuff like that. But anyway, he's really good. He's real positive. I like how positive he is. I hope you find me positive. I try to be positive. I know I rant and I yell and I get mad, but it's positivity, I think, for the most part. All right, folks, love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. Bye.